Taurus, if you've recently felt that something in your life is quietly shifting, even though there is no obvious explanation yet, pay attention to that feeling. The week beginning August 15th, 2026, may bring a turning point that develops slowly at first but becomes impossible to ignore by the end of the week. Something connected to money, work, love, family, or a decision you've been postponing may finally begin moving. This is not necessarily a week of sudden chaos. For you, Taurus, the transformation may be much more subtle. A conversation changes your perspective. A delayed opportunity returns. Someone reveals their true intentions. A financial situation becomes clearer. Or you finally realize that the future you want requires you to stop protecting the past. Dear Taurus, during August 15th to 21st, 2026, the universe seems to be asking you one important question. What are you willing to change in order to receive something better? If this reading resonates with you, take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Stay until the end, because this week carries important messages about your career, money, love, relationships, unexpected opportunities, emotional healing, and a decision that could quietly change the direction of your future. Taurus, you are known for patience. You don't usually abandon something simply because it becomes difficult. Once you commit, you tend to stay committed. That is one of your greatest strengths. But sometimes patience can become attachment. Sometimes loyalty can become resistance. Sometimes stability can become fear of change. And this week may help you understand the difference. The planetary energy around the middle of August encourages you to look carefully at the structures you've built around your life. Your work, your finances, your relationships, your daily habits, and even your expectations for the future may be asking for an update. You may not need to destroy everything. You may simply need to rearrange it. Think of your life like a house you've lived in for many years. The house is familiar. You know every room. You know where everything is. But one day you realize that some furniture has been sitting there for so long that you've forgotten why you kept it. This week, you may begin moving some of that furniture. And once you create space, something new can finally enter. Your career is one of the first areas where this shift may become visible. If you've been working hard without receiving the recognition you expected, don't assume your efforts have been wasted. Someone may finally begin noticing the consistency you've demonstrated over time. A manager could give you more responsibility. A client could return with another opportunity. A colleague may recommend you for something. Or a person from your professional past could suddenly contact you with an interesting proposal. This is especially important if you've been thinking about changing jobs. You may feel torn between security and growth. One part of you wants to remain where everything is familiar. Another part knows that you've outgrown your current situation. Don't make the decision from fear. Instead, ask yourself where you will be 1 year from now if you make no changes at all. That question may tell you more than any prediction. If you're searching for employment, this is a good week to reconnect with people who already know your abilities. Taurus often prefers to build things slowly and independently, but sometimes the right opportunity arrives through another person's recommendation. A former coworker, an old client, a friend, a professional contact. Someone could mention your name in a conversation you aren't even part of. And that conversation may eventually reach you. For Taurus entrepreneurs, the week can bring a valuable lesson about growth. You may realize that working harder isn't always the answer. Sometimes you need a better system, better organization, better pricing, better communication, better boundaries with customers, better use of your time. Your business may not need more effort from you. It may need more structure. And that realization could become one of the most useful discoveries of the week. Financially, Taurus, the energy becomes particularly important. You may see signs of improvement, especially if you've been waiting for money, negotiating an agreement, expecting payment, or trying to create a more stable financial situation. A delayed payment could arrive. An additional source of income may appear. project could become more profitable. Or you may discover a way to reduce expenses without sacrificing your quality of life. But don't let financial optimism turn into careless spending. You may be tempted to reward yourself for surviving a difficult period. There is nothing wrong with enjoying your money, but make sure your purchases are supporting the life you want rather than simply comforting the emotions you are experiencing today. This week is excellent for reviewing your financial priorities. What are you saving for? What debt needs attention? Which expenses are actually necessary? Which expenses exist simply because you've become accustomed to them? And what skill could eventually increase your earning potential? You may discover that financial progress isn't always about finding more money. Sometimes it's about making better decisions with the money you already have. There is also a possibility that someone may approach you with a financial proposition. Be careful. Not every attractive opportunity is a safe opportunity. Don't allow pressure or urgency to make the decision for you. If someone says you must decide immediately, take that as a reason to slow down. Your instinct for stability can protect you now. When it comes to love, Taurus, the week becomes much more intimate. If you're already in a relationship, you may find yourself wanting reassurance about the future. You don't necessarily need dramatic romance. You want consistency. You want someone whose actions match their words. You want to know that the relationship has somewhere to go. A conversation about commitment or future plans may happen naturally. Perhaps you've been avoiding it because you don't want to create tension. But silence doesn't make uncertainty disappear. It simply makes it grow quietly. This week gives you an opportunity to replace assumptions with honest communication. If your relationship is strong, this conversation can bring you closer. You may begin discussing plans that once seemed too far away. A home, a trip, a shared financial goal, family, marriage, or simply a clearer understanding of what you both want. But if you've been carrying the relationship alone, something different may happen. You may finally recognize the imbalance. And once you see it clearly, it becomes difficult to pretend it isn't there. Taurus, love should feel like a place where you can rest your heart, not a place where you're constantly wondering whether you're doing enough to keep someone from leaving. For single Taurus natives, romance may develop through someone you already know or through a connection that begins in a very ordinary way. A friend could introduce you to someone. A professional contact could become more personal. Someone online may begin showing greater interest. Or a casual conversation could slowly turn into something deeper. Don't rush this connection. You don't need to know on the first day whether someone is your future. Let time reveal their character. You may be surprised by someone who initially seems too different from you. Perhaps they are more adventurous, more expressive, more spontaneous. At first, that difference may make you cautious. But sometimes another person's differences bring out qualities in us that have been sleeping for years. A relationship doesn't always arrive to make your life more comfortable. Sometimes it arrives to make your world bigger. There is also a possibility of someone from the past returning. A former partner may reach out. An old friend could contact you. Or a forgotten emotional issue could resurface. But Taurus, don't mistake familiarity for destiny. Just because someone returns doesn't mean they belong in your future. Ask yourself whether anything has actually changed. Have they changed? Have you changed? Has the situation changed? If the answer is no, you may already know what the universe is trying to show you. Sometimes the past knocks on the door simply to see whether you'll still open it. This week, you have permission to leave the door closed. Emotionally, you may be entering a much stronger phase. For a long time, you may have been the person others relied on. The dependable one. The calm one. The one who keeps going. The one who doesn't complain. But even strong people become tired. And sometimes the people around you don't realize how much you've been carrying because you've become so good at carrying it quietly. This week may bring an emotional release. You may finally admit that something hurt you. You may stop pretending that you're fine. You may tell someone what you've actually been feeling. And that honesty could be healing. Remember, Taurus, strength isn't pretending nothing affects you. Strength is knowing what affects you and still choosing how to respond. Your social circle may also change. You could become less interested in superficial relationships. You may notice who celebrates your success and who becomes uncomfortable when you grow. You may notice who listens when you speak and who only waits for their turn to talk. These observations aren't meant to make you suspicious of everyone. They're meant to make you selective. Your energy is valuable. Don't spend it everywhere. At the same time, a new friendship may develop with someone who has a completely different perspective from yours. This person could introduce you to a new idea, a new professional connection, or even a new way of seeing yourself. Sometimes the person who changes your life doesn't arrive as a romantic partner. Sometimes they arrive as a friend who says one sentence you desperately needed to hear. Now let's look at the important days of the week. August 15th begins with a reflective energy. You may feel more aware of what is and isn't working in your life. Don't rush to fix everything at once. Observe first. August 16th is favorable for career planning and professional communication. If you've been waiting to send an important message or application, this could be a productive day to take action. August 17th requires financial caution. Avoid emotional purchases and carefully examine any offer involving money. August 18th may bring unexpected information. Someone could reveal something that changes your understanding of a situation. August 19th is especially important for relationships. Honest conversations can strengthen existing bonds, while single Taurus natives may notice a meaningful connection developing. August 20th is favorable for networking, social activity, and professional contacts. A casual meeting could become more significant than expected. August 21st brings clarity. Something that seemed uncertain earlier in the week may finally make sense, allowing you to make a decision with greater confidence. And Taurus, there is one hidden warning you should carry with you throughout this entire period. Don't stay somewhere simply because you've already invested so much time there. This applies to relationships, jobs, business ideas, friendships, old dreams, even certain versions of yourself. Time already spent is not a reason to spend more. If something no longer fits your future, you are allowed to change direction. You don't have to prove that your past decision was correct forever. You are allowed to learn. You are allowed to change your mind. You are allowed to choose differently. As the week progresses, you may find yourself standing between two possibilities. One feels safe. The other feels uncertain. The safe path may keep everything exactly as it is. The uncertain path may require courage, but it may also lead to growth. Taurus, you don't need to become reckless. You simply need to understand that security and stagnation are not the same thing. Real stability sometimes requires change. A tree doesn't stop growing because it has finally found solid ground. It grows because the ground gives it enough strength to reach higher. And that may be your lesson now. You have built a foundation. Now you're being asked to build upward. You don't need to change your entire life during 1 week. One decision can be enough. One conversation. One boundary. One application. One financial plan. One honest confession. One opportunity you finally decide to explore. Small decisions create large directions. And this week may contain one of those decisions. Taurus, August 15th to 21st isn't asking you to abandon everything familiar. It's asking you to recognize what still deserves to remain familiar. There is a difference. Some people belong in your future. Some belong in your memories. Some opportunities deserve your attention. Others deserve a polite no. Some dreams still deserve another chance. Others have already taught you everything they came to teach. Your job is to recognize the difference. So when something unexpected happens this week, Don't immediately ask, "Why is this happening to me?" Ask, "What is this trying to show me?" That question can change your entire perspective. The message may be hidden inside a delay. The opportunity may be hidden inside an inconvenience. The answer may be hidden inside a conversation. And the beginning of your next chapter may be hidden inside something that initially looks completely ordinary. Taurus, destiny doesn't always arrive dramatically. Sometimes it appears as a small shift in your thinking. A moment when you realize you're no longer willing to accept less. A moment when you decide to stop explaining yourself. A moment when you recognize that peace is more valuable than proving a point. A moment when you finally say, "I want something different," and that sentence can become the beginning of everything. The week of August 15th to 21st, 2026 may not give you every answer immediately, but it can give you something just as important: direction. You may what needs to change, what needs to end, and what deserves another chance. Taurus, you have spent enough time building a life that looks stable from the outside. Now build one that also feels right on the inside. Don't be afraid of change simply because you've worked hard to create your current reality. Your next chapter doesn't erase the previous one. It grows from it. Every difficult season taught you something. Every disappointment strengthened your judgment. Every delay taught you patience. Every ending created space. And now that space may finally begin filling with something new. So protect your money. Choose your relationships carefully. Listen to your intuition. Don't rush important decisions. Stay open to unexpected opportunities. And most importantly, don't confuse comfort with happiness. Because sometimes the life you've been asking for is waiting on the other side of one uncomfortable decision. Taurus, this week may begin quietly. But by the time August 21st arrives, you may look back and realize that something inside you has shifted. You may not have changed your entire world, but you changed the way you see it. And once your perspective changes, your choices change. Once your choices change, your direction changes. And once your direction changes, your future begins to change with it. August 15th to 21st, 2026. Taurus, this is your reminder that stability is not about standing still. Sometimes true stability means having the courage to grow.